There's a new kind of visual noise appearing everywhere, and your brain has already learned to tune it out completely. Users across Japan started noticing something strange in early 2026. They could look directly at advertising posters and retain absolutely nothing. Not because the design was bad. Not because they were distracted. But because the moment their brain registered AI generated, everything else on the poster disappeared. The phenomenon showed up first on Together, Japan's social discussion platform, where users described the same unsettling experience. They'd glance at a poster, recognize the telltale signs of AI generation, the oversaturated colors, the oddly perfect yet meaningless details, the generic composition, and in that instant, the actual message would fail to register. One user put it plainly, "After I think, that's AI, I don't look at any other information on the poster." The recognition itself had become a cognitive stop sign. This isn't just aesthetic preference. It's your brain doing exactly what it was trained to do: filter out noise. For years, internet users developed what researchers call banner blindness, an instinctive mechanism to ignore anything that looks like an advertisement. Studies show over 70% of people scroll past banner ads without a single conscious glance. The brain learned that certain visual patterns signal low-value information, and it started rejecting them before conscious thought kicked in. Now that same filtering system has learned a new pattern: AI-generated content. The mechanism is surprisingly simple. When you scroll through content, your brain processes images quickly, not critically. It's looking for signals, visual shortcuts that tell you whether something deserves your attention. Human-created design carries intent. A designer makes deliberate choices about what to emphasize, what to omit, where your eye should travel across the composition. Those choices create a path. AI-generated images, by contrast, are optimized for superficial correctness. They include everything a prompt suggests, rendered with technical competence but no hierarchy of meaning. The result is what users now call AI slop, content that looks fine at first glance but communicates nothing. And your brain has started to recognize the difference faster than you can articulate why. The over-rendered textures that look hyperreal but lack the imperfections of actual materials. The compositions that are balanced in every technical sense yet draw your eye nowhere in particular. The absence of what multiple users described as intent, the feeling that a human being wanted you to notice something specific. These patterns are now triggering the same neural response as banner ads: automatic dismissal. The consequences are rolling out in real time. Businesses that switched to AI-generated advertising to cut costs are discovering their posters have become functionally invisible. Not because people disagree with AI use in principle, many of the users reporting this phenomenon explicitly said they weren't anti-AI. But because the brain doesn't care about your principles when it's trying to manage information overload. It sees a pattern associated with low-signal content, and it filters. The message never reaches conscious processing. What makes this particularly consequential is how fast the filtering is spreading. Unlike banner blindness, which took years to develop through repeated exposure to intrusive ads, AI slop recognition is accelerating. The internet is flooding with AI-generated content: academic journals, social media feeds, advertising posters, product images. Some estimates suggest AI-generated material now makes up a significant fraction of new visual content online. That volume is training everyone's visual system simultaneously, creating what amounts to a collective immune response. Researchers studying authenticity in AI-generated content have found that audiences specifically reject AI in contexts where human creativity and genuine emotion matter. But the filtering happening now goes deeper than rejection. Rejection requires conscious evaluation. What Japanese users describe is preconscious dismissal, the information never entering short-term memory in the first place. The poster might as well be blank. The irony is that AI image generation has reached the point where individual images can be technically indistinguishable from human work. But in context, surrounded by other AI-generated content, deployed without human curation, optimized for production speed rather than communication, the patterns emerge. And once your brain learns those patterns, it doesn't forget. The filtering becomes automatic, durable, and increasingly difficult to override even when you want to pay attention. This is how new forms of blindness develop. Not through deliberate rejection, but through pattern recognition in an environment saturated with low signal noise. What started as a cost-saving measure, replacing human designers with prompt engineering, is producing content that a growing number of brains have learned to treat as invisible. The posters are there. The information is technically present. But to the visual system trained on a daily avalanche of AI slop, it's already gone.